Hey guys, welcome back to the Bayside Fabrication YouTube channel. Well, today we got something a little bit different. We're taking a couple day hiatus on working on the K-Swap 911, and we're dealing with a 8-second certified ripper. This is Jamie from PFI Speed's drag car, and we're just helping him out with a few things here. So there's Sick Week in Florida. Now, I don't know if any of you guys are familiar, but there's Rocky Mountain Race Week, and that's essentially you take a streetcar and you go to different tracks and do a loop, but the car has to prove itself on a daily driven aspect. Well, essentially Tom Bailey, he is hosting a Florida drag week, which is called Sick Week. And this car is getting prepped for that. Now, Jamie dealt with the headlights, all sorts of minor things to get it ready for being a street car. Now, in Florida, street car is a loose term, so we're not going to get into any of that, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So Jamie and Brent and those guys, they own a shop in Colorado, so they can only be here a certain amount of time. They have families and businesses and all that stuff to run. So I told Jamie I would help him out a week beforehand here and just get a few things done for him. One of the things is we're going to install these quick release Lexan windows. That's going to be one thing. The other thing is we're going to, I'm just walking around here, we're going to raise the exhaust if we can, because he is definitely smoking out the stock hood here. A major thing is we're installing a race seat here because I guess he's gotten a lot of flack for the seat that's in here, and we're going to make him super safe because, dude, Jamie's running like 170 something mile an hour draft speed. So this car is no joke, and it needs to be like, another thing is they have a fuel cell because this is a methanol car at this point. So we're going to make this a quick, quote unquote, quick release fuel cell. So what I'm going to do is just make that fuel cell a couple Zeus clips or brackets, or I don't know, we're going to figure it out and make it a quick release setup. So that is going to be the pump gas that they're just gonna have a pump gas tune when they're doing the cruising on the streets, and that's going to be that fuel cell. When they get to the track, they're going to remove it, cap off the fuel lines, and then that is going to be that. So just a few small things here. Also, I'm going to deal with their trailer. They have a race trailer that they need to haul their crap with, and just a lot of little things here. First order of operations here is we are going to get this seat installed. But before we do that, we need to get rid of the sound deadening. Now, all right, guys, it's the next day, and I got the driver's side area all stripped out and ready for mounting. So I need to go pick up some material. I need to get some kind of fasteners and tabs to do quick removable windows. I also need to get some Zeus, weld-on Zeus tabs so I can mount the front bumper to the trailer. So this car is going to have I think it's like a 40 by 48 trailer that it's towing. So I have to just build this little Harbor Freight trailer real quick, which I just started laying out. And we have to build a rack on it so they can mount spare tires. Jamie wants to mount his bumper, so he's actually going to be running like this on the street. And then at the track, he's going to put his bumper on because it sits so low that you don't want to wreck those bumpers out, and I guess they're super expensive. So we have to make some kind of rack for the trailer, for the bumper, and just all sorts of stuff. So I'm just right now getting this trailer assembled, and we're putting together a hardware list. I'm gonna go shopping, and then we're gonna come back and start putting everything together. Okay, we just got back from getting the steel. We have our seat base steel. We have our trailer angle iron. Wound up being the cheapest option. I was thinking about using like round tubing, but it was like twice as much. I was really hoping to do like a nice bent frame and everything, but we're trying to keep Jamie in a budget here, so that really wasn't in the cards. All right, so now I'm gonna tackle the windows here, and I'm gonna take a break from the seat for now because that involves a lot of smoke and burning paint and all that fun stuff, and you know, I'm just not in the mood to do that tonight. I'll deal with that tomorrow. So for the windows, this is 1/8 inch Lexan that he's using and provided to us. And what we're doing is using Zeus clips. Now, if you guys aren't familiar, this is a weld-on tab for a Zeus, and this is the actual sprung clip itself. So what this does is the quarter turn locks, you know, into place, and it's just a quick little screwdriver, pops right off, and works really well. So we're gonna do 3 on the top, and then we're likely, I think I'm just gonna do 1 here, and then maybe, you know, or maybe just 1 in the middle. I'm not sure. I allocated 5 clips per window, but we'll see how it looks once we get the top 3 in. And this will install like that. Well, it's easy as that. So we just have these tacked into place, and they're ready to weld up. So we're gonna do that now, and then once it cools down, we're gonna put the Lexan in, and it's as simple as just drilling some holes in the Lexan, popping a couple rivets in for the Zeus springs, and yeah, that's gonna be it. All right, just getting the driver's side window in now. Same deal. We got our tabs tacked into place. Now we're gonna pop the Lexan out and weld it up. Now, one thing to note on Lexan, there is an inside and an outside to Lexan. One side generally has like a UV coating on it, and it helps protect it from yellowing and things like that. So just note that if you are working with Lexan, it will actually say usually on the plastic somewhere, outside or this side to sunlight or something like that. So if you guys are doing Lexan stuff, just keep that in mind when working with it. Hey. Nice. Officially a race car. Looks good. Looks good. So right now we're just getting the seat installed. So what we're gonna do is simply just do some cross members here. We're gonna weld 1/8 inch plate to the side on the sill, 2 bars, 1.5 inch by inch steel tubes going across. And then we're gonna do side mounts. Now we're gonna wait till Jamie gets here to do the final drilling, because we will have adjustability with the side mounts to be able to kind of tilt it and angle it and, you know, slide it a little forward and back if that's something he wants. Without having him here, it's a little tricky to just assume what's gonna be a comfortable position for him. But for the time being, we're just getting everything kind of in place. Ratchet straps just to make sure the seat doesn't fall back. And we're just kind of getting it centered right now. You can kind of do a visual here and then confirm with a few measurements. All right, guys, just a quick update on showing you what we're doing, just how to get this seat mounted safely and securely in here. We take our handy dandy Milwaukee die grinder, and we essentially just grind out the area that we need to get to bare metal. And now what we're doing is just taking a 4x4 1/8 inch plate. We're going to be plating the sill here, and we're going to plate it on this side as well, and then just span a steel tube across it. So on this one, you can see it needs to have a little bend in it. And this one just needed barely a little kick in it. Let's see how it fits. And that's pretty dang good. So we'll tack this in. We'll contour the other side as well and get the bar tacked in and just see how everything looks before we fully commit to anything here. All right, guys, we're gonna hop on in here. So I have everything tacked in place. I'm 6'3", Jamie's 6 foot. I kind of got, oh, this actually has a tilt wheel. Okay, that's perfect. I didn't even realize this had a tilt wheel in it. So that will help his positioning as well. It gives him a little more flexibility. But I feel this position is pretty much ideal. I think the front I like to sit a little bit more reclined. I'm not sure how Jamie likes to sit. So like I said, we're just gonna get the side mounts just welded on, and then we can play with the height and the tilt in that regard. But as far as pedal and feet and everything, I mean, this feels pretty good to me, and I think he'll be happy with this setup. All right, guys, just about finished up with this seat bracket. I got most of it welded, and I'm just finalizing the welding on the body tabs here. Now what I'm doing is just going around and just stitching them about 1.5 inch sections, just trying to keep the heat out as much as possible of the body, because as you know, especially in these 90s cars, the sheet metal in these is just like paper thin. It's like 24 gauge or something. So the key is just take your time, always have a fire extinguisher ready, and make sure there's no fuel lines or anything combustible on the opposite side of the car. And while you're welding, always take a look under the car, keep an eye on things, make sure there's not a lot of, there's not undercoat or anything like that melting, burning, getting out of control. So pretty basic stuff, but it's better to learn not the hard way, that's for sure. All right, next thing we're tackling is this exhaust here. All right, guys. So all I do is really extend this up just a little bit, the gate tube. This had actually pretty good clearance. He obviously already smoked his hood pretty good. So what I'm gonna do for him is make a little ring. So I just made this out of cardboard. So I'm gonna make this as big as I possibly can. I have a piece here. All right, we're gonna call it quits for tonight, but we got this finished up and it just needs a couple of rivets. All right, next thing on the list is to get this fuel cell mounted. All right, here's just a little idea I had on the frame here to prevent the fuel tank from chafing itself on the cage here. I just took a piece of old, actually radiator hose I had, just cut it, cut a slit in it, and then we're just gonna wrap it around here. I mean, it's nothing fancy, but it provides a little rubber padding for the weight of the tank to sit on, and it won't obviously, gouge up and rattle around and things like that. So that should be a pretty simple alternative, or a pretty simple option rather, to pad the bottom there. All right, that's gonna do it for the tank. Pretty straightforward stuff. Couple of tabs. We're gonna get this sucker remounted real quick. I'm just gonna show you how quick it can go in and out here. The first one dialed. The second one dialed. And the last one. So, one-handed install. So that took what, 30 seconds? So that's the goal. These guys are gonna have a lot to do once they get to the track. They have to switch the tune up, they have to pull fuel tanks, they have to put the bumper on, et cetera, et cetera. So the more that I can speed up a process like that, the better. Now, the tabs that that we welded on here are pretty thin. However, I was able to just get like 2 pretty good little welds on here, but all the weight is on the soft mounts here. So this really is just, these mounts here are just prohibiting it from going side to side, forward to backwards. It's not holding really any weight. All the weight is on the frame here. So guys, one last piece of the puzzle here is mounting this radiator. This is the last thing I have to do. It just had this real flimsy little tab on it, and that's just not gonna cut it. So we're gonna find a way to get this mounted up a little more securely. It looks like I'm gonna have to pull the intercooler off real quick, but that shouldn't be a big deal. see I just twisted up a little 1/8 inch bracket here. And we're just making a very simple mount for the top. So this one's done. I just gotta trim it back, weld it on, drill a hole, through bolt it. And this is the opposite side, which needs a little more twist to it. Mount it up. We just did a super simple setup here. On the bottom, I just made pretty much a U with a flat piece going right here to support the bottom of the radiator. Welded it right to the weight plate. Now I tried to weld aluminum piece down to here and it wasn't happening. So I don't know what was going on with the aluminum on the bottom, but it did not weld beautiful like the top. So I'm at a loss. The only thing I can think of is there's probably no coolant up here. So this is allowed to get hot. And the bottom was just too cold because of all the liquid on the back side of it. But that's my hypothesis. But I'm gonna pop the intercooler back in, and this sucker is buttoned up and done. All right, next on the chopping block here is our little sick week trailer. So first things first, I got our expanded steel on here, and the expanded steel is square. And I put it on, and the trailer is not square, of course. So I had to loosen up the bolts, and then what I'm going to do is just tack on one side and then re-square the trailer. It's just kind of tilted like a parallelogram a little bit. It's only out by 1/2 inch total, so it's not that big of a deal, but we do want to get that addressed. All right, just show you progress on the trailer as of right now. Essentially, we're building a box on top of the frame here. 1.5 inch by 1/8 inch angle is what we're using. And we're gonna frame this all in, and then we're gonna make like a rail, I don't know, probably 8 inches or a foot high, probably a foot high, around the bottom so you can strap stuff to it. I know he's gonna bring an extra motor and transmission, so obviously will prevent any of that from rolling out, and you can, you know, like I said, strap whatever you want to it. So we'll do that. The biggest issue is gonna be figuring out how to mount the bumper. So that's gonna be a little tricky situation because we're gonna mount the bumper on this front up here on the second story. All right, we're getting there on the main structure here. When building anything like this, ratchet straps are your best friend. So what I'm doing now is like on the sides, we have to make sure this is a square and not a parallelogram, you know what I mean? So to do that, you measure from corner to corner on all 4 corners, and they have to be equal. You know, on this one, for example, this side was, I think it was 50.5 or 55.5 on this side, and 55 on this side. So the ratchet strap pulls it square, and then 55.25 was our target number. So we're gonna leave that strapped while we go and finish the rest of it. And that way we ensure when we're welding it all together that it is going to be nice and square. I try to make them obviously as perfect as possible because that little 1/16th or that 1/8 here and there, well, that 1/8, 1/16th over, you know, a 4 foot, 5 foot, 8 foot span turns into a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and, you know, towards the end you can really run into problems. So be exact as you can. Like I said, this is just a utility trailer thing, but you know, we do it the right way, and you do it once and you'll have a good end product. So all right, so check this out, guys. This is kind of the idea that we're going with. Now this is just resting here on a couple pieces of angle. I just have vice grip on just to get an idea for size. Now he has a fuel rack that's going here, and I just got measurements from Shane's that looks like it's going to work out really well. So with that being said, I was a little bit concerned about the height and the depth of the bumper being here. I didn't want any of the fuel cans to hit, but it looks like the nozzles will be going right behind this bumper, and there is obviously nothing behind it here. So, and the nozzles are flexible. So I think we're going to be good. And the height of the fuel tanks isn't anywhere near this. So I think that's going to work out really well. So that's kind of the plan. Now for the rest of it here, it's going to bolt where this angle is here, and then we're going to have to tie into these Zeus fittings here and here. Just a little progress shot here. So what we did was we just welded on a little This is just tacked on, obviously, a little extension to our Zeus brackets. And you can see we just have this tacked on. I got a piece of round tubing here tacked to the frame of the trailer, and that's gonna support this part of the bumper. Now, I was thinking I would go to all Zeus's, but I don't think it's really necessary. And I'll show you one of the reasons why. I'm making this little brace here, which is going to go right there. So it's almost supporting itself up here. So you can see that is going to essentially absorb all the force coming at the front of the bumper here. And I'm obviously going to do one on the other side. We have these two up here holding the top, and then we're going to do one here and then this bottom one to prevent it from flapping around. But in reality, most of the force is just going to be pushing against this bumper like this, and that's just going to absorb it all. So these really here are just to prevent the bumper from flapping around and things like that. So we got our bumper mounts finished up here. I just got to weld these bottom ones, but I got it on both sides and just tacked in. This thing is not going anywhere. Famous last words, right? All right, now it's time to get the wheels and tires mounted on this. This is where I'm thinking the front wheels will go. I gotta put the front bumper back on to see if everything clears. I think it will. It's either the fronts go there, or I'll put them behind the axle, and then the skinnies will go up front. The only problem is I actually messaged Jamie, and I'm not sure, but he's got locking nuts on these wheel studs here, so I can't get the rears off at this point, but that's okay. We can still do the best we can. So I'm just gonna figure something out for how to get these on. We'll see how it tows, but I can also extend the hitch another foot or two, and that will definitely make it more stable, but I'm not sure if that's something he wants to get involved in at this point. I just want to get all of his stuff mounted and finished, because it's Friday now, he's gonna be here Sunday afternoon to come pick this thing up. So I wanna make sure it at least has paint on it and all that kind of stuff before he gets here, and that all of our bases are covered. All right, we got our front two mounts finished. Well, they just need to be welded, but they're in place, everything lines up. And now we just gotta do the rears. So I can't get the rear wheels off because the locking lug nut is in his trailer, but that's okay because this tire is actually significantly larger in both directions. So I'm just gonna make the rears fit this front tire as well. And that way he'll have the opportunity to switch them around. So if he wants to, I mean, these aren't heavy at all, but for some reason he wants to put these on the rear and the skinnies on the front, it's all good either way. And that if he runs different tire sizes in the future, he'll have plenty of room to kind of get them, on here. So that's what we're doing. We're at the home stretch here. Oh, another thing I added is just these wing nuts. I just welded in a stud and wing nuts and a washer. So that's the quick release on the bumper. And that's really it, guys. We're just at the home stretch here. Just getting it all straight and square, and all that stuff is, all the fun stuff. The only thing I have left to do in this trailer is I'm going to go around and just take a soft wheel, a grinding wheel to any 90-degree edges, so nobody accidentally drags their arm or something across it and cuts themselves. That's the last thing we want. So I'm going to just go over and do that, clean it up, roll some Rust-Oleum satin black, or gloss black on it rather, and this thing's going to be done. So I was super pumped to build this. I think Jamie's going to be very happy with it. He's actually coming in tomorrow, which is Sunday, and then sick week starts a week from tomorrow. So he's got a whole week to get the trailer sorted and loaded and figured out, plus his car. I know he's definitely got to do at least a tune for the pump gas and stuff like that. I'm not sure what his other plans are, but I'm sure he's got a real busy week ahead of him, just getting everything else set up. So I'm going to see him tomorrow. We'll get that seat finalized with his last position. But other than that, we got all the stuff on his checklist taken care of that he wanted, and I think he's going to be good to go. So we'll get cracking back on this on the next one. And until then, guys, I appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you next time.